UFC Fight Night Vegas 98, Royval versus Taira just took place, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card, and my overall event recap as well, starting with the early prelim opener of Clayton Carpenter versus Lucas Rocha. I had to go back and watch some of these prelims again. I was keeping an eye on what was going on in terms of finishes, but I watched back the fights just then, and mainly because I was watching Beterbiev versus Bivol. Bivol got robbed of at least a draw. I thought he could have won. Beterbiev was hitting nothing but guard the entire night. All good, though. Mayweather would have 6 or 7 losses on his record if fights were scored like that. Clean work wins. Forget about boxing, though. It's lame anyway. And rigged. Clayton Carpenter, Lucas Rocha. Clayton Carpenter, I thought, won. Of course, I thought he won. He got a finish. What am I saying? Either way, won the fight by rear naked choke in the second round. But before that, though, he got a takedown in the first round and got a big cut opened up on Lucas Rocha's head. And it was a good cut. It was a really good cut. Clean with a good elbow right above the eye. And that just changed things when Lucas Rocha ended up on the ground in the second round. I thought Lucas Rocha was going to win based on experience, but Clayton Carpenter, a little bit too physically strong for him. Good grappling, good entries, kept safe on the feet as well. Got the job done in the second round. So good job, Clayton Carpenter. He looked good. He's a up-and-coming guy at flyweight. Got some wins together. Undefeated now, 8-0. Probably going to need a few more unranked wins before we start looking at the top 15. But good job, Clayton Carpenter. We move on. Up the card, Dan Argueta versus Cody Haddon. I went with Cody Haddon to win this fight. And let me tell you, I just watched it back. Why did no one tell me we have a second coming of JDM in the bantamweight division? This guy was throwing combinations like Jack Della Maddalena, stuffing the takedowns, and it was basically as I said in this fight. Dan Argueta has no talent for fighting, has no stand-up skill whatsoever. He's a physically strong nugget of a bantamweight, and he's got good grappling-ish. Like, he's strong, though. Like, it's not anything technical. You know, he's just a strong physical guy with no skill in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or in striking, and his athleticism and size has carried him so far in his career, whereas Cody Haddon is athletic. He's not the biggest of bantamweights, but he's got talent. You know what I mean? He's got cleanliness on the feet. He's got good scrambles. And as the fight went on, he started to get his own takedowns on Dan Argueta. And after about a round of failing takedowns and not getting what he wanted from takedowns, Dan Argueta completely gassed. And we started to see Cody Haddon start landing shots. Had to be safe because Argueta was swinging back now and again and staying in the fight and trying takedowns even more. But he was so exhausted because for some reason he's not doing what Merab does to be able to do that for 5 straight rounds without slowing down whatsoever. So even despite being in what looks like great physical condition, he could only do it for 5 minutes because he's normal. And that's what normal people happen. That's what happens to normal fighters when they fail a few takedowns early on in the fight at that pace. So really good job by Cody Haddon, though. Wicked combinations. Literally throwing him like JDM. Headshot, headshot, body, body, head, head, body, body, back to the body again. Keeping his hands down as the fight went on. He started to find his range and comfort levels. Fading back out the way, using some slickness. I was watching back the fight, and as the fight went on, he just kept on teeing off on Dan Argueta. There's a hair curling into my mouth. It's all good. But Cody Haddon got the job done. Great win from Cody Haddon. Great combinations. Good on the mic afterwards. Said the F word a couple of times. Always good in my book. You know what I'm saying? Not that F word. Fucking. You know what I mean? He was effing and jeffing on the mic. A little bit of swearing, a little bit of character. It's what we like to see. Good job, Cody Haddon. He didn't go full Manel Cap, but it was just a regular F word. You know what I'm saying? But good job. Great combinations. We move on. Up the card, Julia Polastri versus Cory McKenna. I was a little bit torn on this one because McKenna isn't... She's just been told that she's good and here she is type thing. She did get a takedown in the third, so I gave her the third round. But Julia Polastri was landing the better shots. She was busier in the clinch. I know people add this to Cory McKenna. Even one of the judges had it to Cory McKenna as well. But she was just getting a little bit out-hustled. And although she was throwing good-looking combinations, like every now and again she'd uncork like a 3-punch combination with her back against the cage, and I'd be like, oh, that looks like decent boxing. It just wasn't anywhere near Julia Palastri's face, was the main problem. It's like her boxing has improved. She's throwing good-looking punches. They just weren't on the chin of Julia Polastri, which is the problem. Julia Polastri was throwing a lot of knees to the body, a lot of shots at range. She just outlanded her where she needed to. I gave the third to Cory McKenna, but Julia Polastri won the fight. Good job to her. Kept busy, kept hustling on short notice as well. Crazy. But that's how it goes. We move on. Junior Tafa versus Sean Sharaf. Now, what are we going to do about these morbidly obese heavyweights? Junior Tafa, you're not even a heavyweight, really. I don't know how much the guy weighs. I'm going to check it right now. Sean Sharaf steps up on short notice. Gave it a bit of a fight. Both guys are slinging them early on in the fight, scrapping back and forth, throwing big, meaty hooks. Rest in peace, Lucas Tracy. I know he's back, but is he really back? Are you back, junkie? You know what I mean? No streams? You know? No fight companions? Are you back, junkie? It's all good. We'll take a video now and again. So both of them are throwing big, meaty hooks. And how much does Junior Tafa even weigh for heavyweight? 241. Like, you're just skinny fat, man. Like, you're a light heavyweight. No muscle definition on your body whatsoever. I know it's like the Samoan way. They get big, they get saggy. But what are we doing gassing out after a round? You had a full training camp for this. I don't get it. I really don't get it. You're training. This is your livelihood. This is your 9 to 5. Be in shape to go longer than 4 minutes of fighting. Junior Tafa nearly got finished at the end of round 1 by TKO to ground and pound. This fucking hair is digging into my fucking lip. It's all good. He nearly got finished in round 1 to ground and pound. What are we doing? You're exhausted. And I know it was a bit of a high pace, but please have more than 4 minutes of cardio. Like, Shamil Gaziev at least gassed out in round 4 and 3. But, like, this is just crazy to see. Still happening at heavyweight. These guys aren't athletes. They're just fat men that are tough and have proved power. And that's how they've got to the UFC. Junior Tafa gets it done by second round TKO. Sean Sharaf just gassed out completely. I know he took it on a few days' notice, but come on, man. We got to be going 3 rounds at heavyweight without being absolutely exhausted looking. You're representing the fucking highest level of the sport. And this is always my argument when people say UFC fighters are underpaid. They ain't UFC caliber yet, even though they're in the UFC. This ain't like the NFL or the NBA where they're literally filtered out after millions of people are attempting to get in. They're the one person that got through. That's not what this is. Couple fat guys fight on regional MMA. One of the fat guys proves tougher than the rest of them. They're in the UFC. And then now they get paid millions, hundreds of thousands? No, that's not how it should work. These guys are fat, undisciplined. I've got more muscle definition than both of them. I barely fucking train. That's your job. Quit gassing after 4 minutes, you embarrassments. Good win by Junior Tafa, though, by TKO. And I was correct. We move on. Themba Gorimbo versus Niko Price. This was, again, very uneventful. I thought that Themba Gorimbo was going to get a TKO win in the first round here. And he nearly did, to be fair. Like, Niko Price was there to be hit a lot. He's very slow now. I don't know if the welterweights have just gotten way faster, but Niko Price is extremely slow now. There you go. He's extremely slow now. So he's open every time he throws a shot to a 3-punch counter combination. And Themba Gorimbo was landing some shots, and I was thinking, hang on, he's fighting at a bit of a crazy pace. Maybe he'll slow down. Then he started grappling, and it kind of eased him into the fight a bit more. Got a bunch of takedowns on Niko Price. Nearly fell off the top and went for a bit of a Suloev stretch in round 3. But just out-grappled him. Used his grappling. Very boring performance. Should be getting a finish over Niko Price if you're ever going to be anything good in the welterweight division, in my opinion. Good job, Themba Gorimbo, though. He won. Good for him. Comes from nothing. Got a bit more money for himself. Sad for Niko Price. Dude has like 9 kids. And he needs the paychecks. But, hey, it is what it is, isn't it? We move on. Jonathan Pearce versus Pat Sabatini. People were torn on who to predict on this one. But I went with Pat Sabatini because I've been watching him in grappling matches. Because I'm a nerd for MMA, so I watch grappling matches. And the guy's really good at grappling. And I saw that he was just a different level in terms of his technicality compared to Jonathan Pearce. This was always going to be a grappling match. Either Jonathan Pearce would be too grueling and implement his strategy and just wear out Pat Sabatini, and he would make it a stand-up fight if he could. Or Pat Sabatini would get his own way in the grappling. And from what I've seen in Jonathan Pearce's career, he's good, but he's not fast. He's not fast twitch. He's not technical in what he does. He's a grindy, gritty fighter that wears on people as the fight goes on. And Pat Sabatini is extremely technical. So he just wore on him. He didn't wear on him. He got him down, immediately got the back, because Pearce gives up his back a lot in scrambles. I mentioned that in the prediction video as well. And got to the back early, lost it, then got him back down again, and then got to the back again, and then rear naked choke was there. Pat Sabatini gets it done. He's a great technical grappler. Now, of course, very chinny. BJJ guys, they're not tough. They get beaten up easy. They're victims if they can't get the jiu-jitsu off, it seems, a lot of the time in MMA. But he got his jiu-jitsu off, so he's going to be really good at that, and he proved it. Good job, Pat Sabatini. It's going to take someone who's stocky with some power to beat him at featherweight, so I reckon like a Dan Ige is a nightmare matchup for a guy like Pat Sabatini, you know? We move on. CJ Vergara versus Ramonsbek Temirov. I picked Ramonsbek Temirov by first round TKO. He got the job done by first round TKO. I actually did pretty well on predictions. I'll sum it up at the end of the prelim breakdown. And Temirov went out there and started laying out CJ Vergara early. Vergara, very timid in the first round, very weak, frail for the division, which is crazy to say at flyweight, but Temirov started going for him. Swinging heat, landed a big shot early, dropped him, then dropped him again. CJ Vergara's all over the place, running around, scarpering away like he does, like we're used to seeing. And then Temirov started swarming on him, nearly fumbling the finish in moments, because I'm like, quit headhunting, go to the body. And then he does go to the body. And he tears up the body, lands a big shot straight to the stomach of CJ Vergara, crumples him down. Referee calls off the fight. Great win by Ramonsbek Temirov. He's 18-2 now at flyweight. Up and coming, an Uzbekistan guy. Trains at Muradov's gym. So yeah, Uzbekistan on the map. Good job, Ramonsbek Temirov. Get it done. TKO. Wicked. Not much more to say than that. It was laying fucking bombs into CJ Vergara non-stop throughout the fight as long as it lasted, and eventually put him away to the body. So good job, Ramonsbek Temirov. Overall on the prelims, pretty fun. The main card got a bit dull. I was watching Bivol Berto. I'm never watching boxing again. It's so lame. Dude won by hitting fucking Bivol's gloves. Fucking lame ass sport. 8-4. One of the scorecards. Like, it's just dumb, innit? Saudi money will crumble this sport as well, no doubt, eventually. But yeah, good stuff. I went 0-1, 1-1, 0-1-2, 3-2, 2-2, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2 on the prelims. Not too bad. We did well. We move on to the main card. I also got some methods as well, right? I got the first round TKO. I got the submission for Sabatini. I got the KO for Tafa. That was kind of expected, though. Got the Cody Haddon one the way it would happen. So I was pretty good in my methods of victory. We move on to the main card. Daniel Rodriguez versus Alex Morono. I went with D-Rod. He got it done. It was a very close fight, though. But I did give him the second and third round. Now, the second round was quite competitive because early on, D-Rod did not look good. He kept getting caught by the right hand of Morono. Let me make sure I'm good here. Okay, cool. He kept getting caught by the right hand of Morono early in the fight, and it was landing over and over again. Like, Morono was just landing the right hand as D-Rod would go for like an inside low kick, and it was just like really questionable decision-making by D-Rod. Neither guy really tried to take this to the ground. D-Rod did get a takedown at one point, but Morono tried once, despite being outstruck in the second and third round. But the second round, you know, Morono landed some decent hitters on D-Rod, but D-Rod had him cut open. Some hematoma on his head as well from some of the shots. Inside low kick was landing a bit more for him as well, and just neither of them changed their game plan at all. D-Rod got a takedown in the third round at the very end to secure it for himself, but he just started going to work with his straight left to the body. Started bringing it upstairs and landing it there as well. Even wobbled Morono at one point in the third round. Pretty uneventful fight. The third round was somewhat decent. I don't know how Morono thought he won. I had this very clear 2-1 D-Rod, so good for him. Neither guy looked great, though, did they? They're going to be unranked forever at welterweight. It is what it is. And Good job to D-Rod, though. He gets a paycheck. Good stuff. We move on. Grant Dawson versus Rafa Garcia. I said Grant Dawson would get a finish here, and he did. Good job, Grant Dawson. Great win. Actually looked good. Now, at the start, when he first got the takedown, I thought, oh, God. He's gonna make this a really boring stalemate of him in full guard on top or having the back and doing nothing with it type fight. And that was a worry. And even on the feet early on, it's like, oh, God, Grant Dawson, stop striking. You can't strike. Stop. Even though he does do things that look good, he's just too open defensively. And it feels like he doesn't really understand distance control in the cage at times. But he looked good. Stayed technical on the feet. A little bit weak in the defensive striking, for sure. But eventually got the takedown, and that's all that matters. You know, Garcia's defended the early takedown well, but Dawson put it together, chained things together, tried a few different looks, ended up getting a dump off a single leg. And, swept out the rear leg, ended up on top of Rafa Garcia. Got boring, but then towards the end of round one, he starts landing some big ground and pound shots, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, Grant Dawson, he's actually going for it here. And then round two, he gets to take down again and just starts going for it again. Cuts open Rafa Garcia badly. Now Garcia's face first in his own blood, and Dawson's on his back, landing big shots. So it just was worse and worse for Garcia. Dawson gets mount, starts landing elbows and more big punches, and gets an impressive win. Good mic skills afterwards as well. Shouts out his wife, shouts out her dump truck. I've yet to inspect on the validity of that statement, but maybe I won't, you know what I mean? Out of respect for the performance. But Grant Dawson gets a big win by TKO. Good stuff. We move on. Chidi Njokuani versus Jared Gooden. Now, Mario Batista, this one's for you. This is what you do if you are going to clinch someone up against a cage. You knee him to the body, not the thigh. Coward. Knee him to the body. Work him. Big shots to the body overall. Big elbows, then back in, and elbow again, another big knee to the body. I mean, Chidi Njokuani broke down Jared Gooden here. A little bit sketchy on the feet in the first round early on, but Njokuani ended up stuffing takedowns well. Gooden had a really good shot on him in round one for a takedown, but Njokuani just refused to stay on bottom. Got back to his feet. Round three, I think, similar situation. He got taken down, but ended up back up on his feet. And once he was on his feet, he was just way stronger in the clinch. He's way bigger at welterweight than he is at middleweight. Of course, he's been broken a few times at middleweight. He's even like 2-3 overall in the UFC. So I don't know why he's calling for a ranked opponent. You got to win like 3 more, buddy. But good win by Chidi Njokuani nevertheless. Good stuff. Knees to the body were great. Destroyed Jared Gooden in the clinch. Wasn't the craziest of fights, but for a clinch fest, it was reasonably action-packed, if you can call it that. Knees and knees over and over again. And, round 3 started teeing off on Gooden. Rocked him at one point, but didn't really go for it as much. Body kicks were landing at range. Good job, Chidi Njokuani. We move on. Brad Tavares versus Park Yong. Wow, not a lot happened this card, huh? Park Yong got a win. Great win. Split decision. Somehow. I don't know how. He won the second and third round very clear. I thought Tavares would be too fast for him early and would put damage on him. And to be fair, Tavares did fumble a finish in the first round. He knocked down Park Yong. They didn't give it a knockdown, but he was knocked down. Off balance if you want, but it was a solid shot that put him on his ass. And Brad Tavares started going for him on the ground, looking for a finish. Ended up trying to get the back of Park Yong, but Yong ended up back on his feet. And there he started trying to put pressure on Tavares. Not as successfully in round 1, because Tavares was still sharp and landing good shots. But in round 2 and 3, Park Yong was teeing off on Brad Tavares on the feet. Like, low kicks were landing, mocking him all the time, saying yes every time Tavares hit him, breaking him, walking him down. Tavares would have moments where he would land big shots, but after round 1, the steam on them was gone. And Yong was like, I can walk through these now. He tried to walk through them in round 1, and it was too much. You know what I mean? It was like, you're getting hit way too much. Stop. But then in round 2, he was like, okay, there's less on these. I'll walk through these ones. And he started walking down Brad Tavares, tuning him up, landing good shots in round 2. Round 2 was a great round. Really good round towards the end of it. Tavares had a bit of a surge, but too much had been done early by Park Yong in combination up against the cage. And round 3, Park Yong again stumbled Tavares, looked like he was going for him, and then kind of ruined it with some grappling towards the end, though. got the takedown, laid on him for basically the entire round. It is what it is. He got the win. Park Yun Yong enjoyers, we rise. You know what I'm saying? Great stuff from the Iron Turtle. Gave us a little victory dance at the end. Good stuff. Solid win. We move on. Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira. Now, this was a crazy fight. Now, the numbers won't dictate that because, well, they will on Royval's end. He landed 124 significant strikes. One thing I want to say is I picked Royval to win this as a plus 300 underdog because I never thought Taira was all that. He's good and his grappling is really good. But to finish at the highest level using that grappling is a different thing. And I said if he couldn't finish Royval over 5, he's going to be in some real trouble on the feet if Royval keeps scrambling. Round 1, Taira lands early, but Royval starts landing often. It's worryingly often. Great fight overall. Scrambles were good. Higher level fight overall. Taira is going to be a top dog. He's 24 years of age. He's got time to improve. You know, this was a good learning experience for him. But the immediate worry began when Royval won round 1. Even though Taira looked like he might have knocked him off balance at the end and failed a takedown early in that round, Royval was landing too often. Now, he didn't land crazy amounts. Like, he didn't tee off and land 40 strikes in the round or 30 or anything like that. But it just seemed like anytime he threw something, Taira's head was right there to connect with it. So he's got to work on his head like distance management. Royval's a very rangy guy, so maybe this is easy to say in hindsight, but his head movement's a bit sus. And I saw that in the Perez fight. I've seen it in other fights as well. Even though the commentary's all over him in the Perez fight, if you actually watch it on mute, Perez was landing a lot on Taira, and Taira didn't have success until round 2 where he got that goofy submission with the snap in his leg as he took him down, like using his body weight type thing. Round 1, Royval. Round 2, Taira dominates round 2. Not enough for a 10-8. If he had a V at the end of his name and a weird beard, yes, it would have been a 10-8 probably. But that's not how it works. He needed to do more damage that round. He had some choke attempts. He did land some ground and pound, but not from the right region of the world, buddy. I'm joking. But it was a good dominant round from Taira. Like, he had the back the whole time. And it was, like, frustrating to watch for Royval. On Royval's end, some of the grappling situations in this fight, very frustrating to watch. Because Royval was genuinely trying everything to get out from underneath Taira. And he was doing all the right things, attacking the body triangle, which was locked in for, like, all of the time that they were on the ground ever. Taira does not lose the body triangle. He's scrambling for top position all the time, beating him to the 50-50s, ending up on top, never letting himself end up on bottom. Royval's scrambling over and over again, doing everything he can, rolling over, toppling over, using the cage. Any technique he could to scramble out from that body triangle on bottom position. Taira just followed him round with it non-stop. Locked in the body triangle the entire time. Didn't end up getting a finish in round 2. But a dominant round. Very, very dominant round. Some people in chat were saying 10-8, but no V at the end of your name, no funny beard, no 10-8. Round 3. Also could have been a 10-8 until the end of it. Royval starts teeing off on Taira. Again, way too easily hit. And that's what I was saying in the build-up. He's very easily hit on the feet. And sometimes he showed good technique on the feet. But other times it's like, dude, there's shots coming your way. Move your head, you know? It's right there. You're staying in your striking stance trying to counter-strike. But if you miss the counter shot and the guy follows up with volume, which is what Royval was doing, you're just going to be there to get stung. And that's what was happening in round 3. And then he went for a takedown in round 3. And Royval timed a knee on him. Right to the chest, I think it was. And you could see Taira kind of... His enthusiasm on the takedown failed him, you know? He was crumbling a bit. He started just staying there against the cage. And then Royval starts battering the back of his head with elbows. I've said this before. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Back of the head elbows and back of the head punches are legal in the UFC until the referee shows me otherwise. They will never separate a fight for back of the head shots. They'll never do it unless it suits them and it's a star that it happens to. They typically never do that. I mean, Abdulrazak Hassan had to land like 30 in a row to the back of Brundage's head for them to do anything about it. And even then the fans were like, what a bitch Brundage is. He wants out. Back of the head shots are just fine. Like, honestly. People do them. They say they're illegal, but they're not. The ref just lets it happen every time. Royval starts raining down elbows to the back of Taira's head. Taira goes down and starts dipping a bit, and now he separates and he's in danger. Royval goes after him, puts on volume in the third round, starts stinging him with big shots constantly. Great third round for Royval. Taira shoots again. Royval pounds the back of his head with punches, with about 5 of them. Taira rolls to his base, starts laying there, like really bad positioning for him. He looks like he's cowering from the fight against Royval. And then Royval jumps for an armbar and loses position. I swear to God he did this. He jumped for an armbar and lost position, going for an armbar finish. Taira gets back into the fight because he's a grappler, you know. He's a great grappler. So in his mind, he's like, oh, this is this position. So he goes into autopilot mode, out scrambling Royval again, basically. Even though he's exhausted and he's breaking because he's failed a few takedowns. You're not Marab, little bro. You can't just do that for 5 rounds for some reason. So he starts getting exhausted a little bit, looking for a second wind, and he starts going into autopilot mode, scrambling with Royval. Ends up on top, ends up getting the back, nearly chokes out Royval at the end of round 3. That stopped a 10-8 round, in my opinion. It was a dominant round from Royval, looking like it was going to be a TKO. And then Taira sort of came back, had his own moment, landed his own decent shots, and nearly had Royval choked out at the end of round 3. Round 4. Crazy fight. Crazy fight. Round 4, Taira gets the takedown, dominates the round. It's so unfair. The body triangle should be banned in MMA. It's so unfair, especially when someone as good as Taira gets it, because Royval's trying everything. He's trying to scramble. He's trying to get back to his feet. Now he's winning on the feet early in the round, but he ends up losing the position on the takedown, gives up his back again, and Taira just does not fail on the back. He stays on it the entire time. Scramble all you want, toss him this way and the other, try and kick off the cage and flip yourself over. He'll somehow still be on the back. He's crazy on the back. Absolutely crazy. Stayed on it the entire round, landed some good ground and pound here and there, tried a few choke attempts here and there. Couldn't really get it though. Another round to Tatsuro. Taira had it 2-2 going into the 5th. Saudi Amato didn't know. He had it for Taira because it's Saudi Amato every fucking card. Nothing will change that. The UFC love him. He always has a UFC agenda scorecard, which conveniently helps out the guy they want to win. Round 5 comes around. Brandon Royval's putting it on him, landing big shots throughout the round. They have some grappling exchanges where Taira does get a takedown towards the middle part, but again on the feet. Royval's landing a lot. Taira's landing as well, but Royval is landing a lot, and it's just Taira's just there, getting hit, not moving well. And this is what I foresaw. I said Brandon Royval would win by pressuring Taira as the fight went on. I think I said it would be like a 4th or 5th round TKO. By the looks of the start of the 3rd round, if he didn't go for that armbar, he probably would have got a TKO towards the end of the 3rd or a 4th round TKO. But Tatsuro Taira recovered. He got a takedown in round 5. Royval scrambled out of it, though, this time. He didn't get the back, Taira. Royval was like, I can't let him get my back. Scrambled out, got to his knees, hit a switch on him at one point as well, and then got his own takedown on Taira, and then eventually they end up back on their feet, and Royval's just outstriking him again. Straight shots are landing all the time. Sucks for Taira. Would have been huge for the UFC to do a Japanese, like if, I know Asakura just got a title shot, I might talk about that in a video right after this, because they've had a lot of announcements, but yeah, if Taira won and Asakura won, UFC pay-per-view in Japan, or fight night in Japan with that as the main event, would sell out. So, yeah, unfortunate for Taira, but he's 24. I'm sure he'll be back. Very close fight. Split decision. Incorrect split decision, but close-ish, I guess. And Royval gets it done as the underdog, as I predicted. Too good at scrambling, too hard to finish, too much pressure and volume on the feet. Taira crumbled. Young kid, never been tested, got tested in the main event for 5 rounds. Never a good look. You know what I mean? Never good for him. So, good job, Brandon Royval. Horrible for the division. You're horrible for the division, but good job, I guess. You've lost twice to Pantoja. Go away. You know what I mean? But maybe he'll force their hand. They'll probably do a Cara France rematch, and we'll just have another fucking no prospects getting through at flyweight bullshit. See you later, guys. Toodle pip. Goodbye. Royval beats Taira. Fucking Cara France beats Urseg. Just fuck off. Goodbye. I did good on picks, though. What did I do on the main card? I got Royval. Didn't get this co-main event. Got the feature. Got the 4th. Got the 5th. So I did pretty good. From the start. 0-1. 1-1. 1-2. 2-2. 3-2. 4-2. 5-2. Then I went 6-2. 7-2. 8-2. 8-3. 9-3. Not bad. With a good underdog in the main event as well. See you later, guys. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.